Hi, my name's Ella McChrystal and this is The New Mind. Today's guest is Ngozi. Now, Ngozi was part of a beautiful competition, Miss Universe. She made it to the final and she won Miss Universe Exceptional Lady Award. Now, off the back of that pageant, Ngozi has spoken about a very personal story, a very powerful story. She's actually written a book about it. It's due for release soon. By her own admission, it's not Shakespeare's work, but it's very important and probably more important in some ways than some of the books that you may have written before. And you're going to find out why. I really want to welcome you to the show today. Tell me a little bit about that story. You've done Miss Universe and you decide to use that experience for something else.
Yes. So when I won the title, I thought to myself that this is a good opportunity to shine a spotlight on a cancer and a cancer charity that was dear to my heart. So I was actually on remission, newly on remission for having rhabdomyosarcoma, which is a strain of sarcoma. And sarcoma is a cancer that affects the soft tissues, the bones, the muscles, and but it's still very, very rare. And I just felt as though this would be a good opportunity to tell people about it so that they understand what it is. Yeah. They know when they have certain symptoms and they know who to go to and what to do.
Because one of the things that you said earlier on today, which really hit me, especially after losing my best friend Susie, was the fact that you really had to shout and advocate for yourself in a way that I think you don't expect to have to do when you're ill. And we know why, because the NHS is so strained and we know that there's so many people that need so much. But I think for those people that have been suppressed or have been made to feel that they shouldn't speak up, for women that have been made to feel like they shouldn't have a voice, speaking up about getting your treatment and needing to speak up about that, having no choice, must be a very challenging experience because, like you say, it's a rare form of cancer, isn't it?
Yeah, I found it really difficult. I mean, when I first started to think there was something wrong, bearing in mind I was the type of person that didn't have so much as a sniffle.
I
was rarely sick.
Wow.
I was rarely sick. And even if I was, I would have a paracetamol or Nurofen and that would be,
Just
call it a day and get on with it. But when I started to bleed almost every day, I thought it was, my period.
Yeah.
But it just wouldn't go. I was literally bleeding every day.
So this is, are we talking gynecology bleeding here?
Yeah, this is like you feel as though you're on your period, but it just doesn't stop.
Right.
It just goes on and on and on.
Right.
That forced me to actually go to the doctors. I had to figure out where my GP was. And then I said, okay, it's down the road there. And then go down there. But they wouldn't, what they said to me was, you're stressed. It's stress. And nobody would really take it very seriously.
Wow.
They wouldn't take it very seriously. And at first I thought, okay, well, if they're not too worried about it, then why am I being very worried about it? And that's until I spoke to a really good friend of mine. I was just chatting to her and I said, this is what's happening. And her reaction was so shocking. She said, she was just stunned that she said, you've been bleeding every day and nobody's taking this seriously. And, she said, go back to your doctors and demand that something be done about it.
Can I just add here, this was 2020 as well.
This was 2020,
So this was when, the world went into a slightly different way of doing things.
Exactly.
So you were fighting against a system that was now really quite... Well, it was non-existent pretty much. It was broken, wasn't it?
Exactly. And I think I took my friend's advice and I just kept having to knock on the doors, kept having to tell the doctors, listen, there's still something wrong with me. I don't feel right. I don't feel well. And just having to be very vocal, very insistent about it.
Yes.
And really pushing back against some of the things that they were saying. And you can imagine that is very scary because I'm not a medical person.
Yeah.
But, and who am I to think that what they're saying doesn't make any sense?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I really feel as though you know your body better than most, right? You've been in it the longest, you know yourself. And if within your gut you feel as though something is wrong, just go with that feeling and just insist that something is done. And it wasn't until I sort of, gently asked the doctors and said, listen, is it possible for me to even have a scan? Right?
So you had to really say, is it possible
yes,
for me?
this was all part of me having to do the research, having to fight for myself, and then having to ask them, can I have a scan?
How long had you been consistently bleeding for by that point?
So it was a couple of months, right?
So consistent bleeding?
Yeah, consistent every single day.
And no one offered that scan, you had to ask?
Nobody offered the scan, no.
Wow,
no.
Okay.
And I had to ask. In fact, what they did offer me was a tablet. I forgot the name of the name of that tablet now. My English is not. I can't remember the name of the tablet. And this is very interesting because what they said was, take this tablet, and what it would do is it can actually stop your bleeding for a while. And then I got the prescription for this tablet, and I sat with it for a while, and I thought, why doesn't it feel right to me? Why am I not happy at the fact that they've given me this medicine that could stop the bleeding? And then I thought, well, what caused the bleeding in the first place? This tablet doesn't explain that. And I was never comfortable, so I never actually did that prescription and
Thank God.
And thank God I didn't, because actually that saved my life, the fact that I didn't do that.
Wow.
Because what was bleeding was a tumor. I had a huge tumor inside me, and that was what was bleeding. And if I had taken that tablet, yes, it would have stopped the blood, but then it would have been too late. It would have been too late for me. So thank God I went with my gut and I said, no, I'm going to go back to the doctors. I'm going to ask for this scan. And it wasn't until I asked for the scan that we started to get some answers. But I was still misdiagnosed after that, though.
Oh my God.
But we started to get some answers.
At least there was exploration going on and curiosity, mainly driven by yourself. But I've just got to say here as well, this is so important what I'm about to say. You've mentioned, I think, gut instinct twice. Listen to your gut. Nothing speaks more profoundly, more loudly, and more acutely than your gut instinct. Yeah. What we feel we know is often only 5% of our conscious thinking. Our gut is linked to our brain through the vagus nerve. We have this really clever network of travel through the vagus nerve of neurotransmitters, hormones, chemicals and messengers.
Wow,
Not only that, but we have 40,000 neurons known as neurites in the heart. We have about 150,000 in the gut, and we have billions in the brain, and they all communicate with each other, that heart-mind-gut connection. So when we talk about gut instinct, it will be the most powerful form of communication that you have. And thank the sweet Lord that you listen to that, because people override it. Because again, they're trying to please the doctors or please the medical team, and they don't want to, we said at the beginning, they don't want to be going against that when they're not academically trained in that area. They don't feel they have a right to question anything. But if your gut says something's not right, you have every right to fight. And that's what, again, I heard you say gut a couple of times, and I wanted to really go back to that point. Because then, as you say, they're not quite hitting the nail on the head, as it were, with the diagnosis. So you're misdiagnosed after the scan. Tell me about that.
So I was misdiagnosed after the scan. They thought that I had polyps, right? And they said, actually, it's no problem. It's an easy peasy thing. If you want to have kids later on and all of that, it's advisable that we take it out. It's very routine. A lot of women have it, and it's absolutely no problem at all. And I thought, yay, great. Sign me up.
Yeah, you were ready.
Sign me up. I said, okay, that's fine. Let me just go for it and, get it taken out. It's very routine. And so I went in for what I thought was polyp removal. But what they removed, I never had polyps. I never had polyps. What was there was a big tumor. And that was what was removed. And the doctor said to me, okay, we've removed this thing. I'm going to have it tested. It's way past my pay grade because I don't know what it is, but it's routine that we have things like this that's taken out, and we have them tested. But yeah, so when I went into that operating room, I went in thinking that I was going to have a simple procedure of polyps to be removed. That wasn't the case. So the tumor was taken out. Everything was taken out from with the tumor. And then I got the call to say that it was definitely a tumor that was taken out. That was correct, and that it was cancerous as well. Yeah.
So this is where you hear the first time the word cancer.
The big C, yes.
Tell me about that. The first time you hear that word mentioned in relation to yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it just felt so surreal. I honestly thought they were talking else because I was very naive about cancer at that time. I thought that, for instance, when a smoker now gets lung cancer, you think, oh, actually it's because they were smoking or they. But I thought, I'm relatively fit, healthy. I eat my 5 a days. I barely drink. I've never smoked. So how can I possibly have cancer?
Yeah.
How can I be this ill? It was so surreal. I really, for such a long time, I thought they were talking about somebody else.
You just were disassociating.
Be me.
Yeah.
But then I was, of course, that's ridiculous way of thinking because athletes get cancer.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're the fittest of us all,
Yeah.
So I just was, but then once it started to dawn on me, I was devastated because once you're told you have cancer, the very first thing you think about is that you think you're going to die.
Yes.
Right? You feel as though the world as you know it has come to an end.
Yeah.
You're scared, you're anxious, you're depressed. And I was just crying and having to tell people that were close to me, having to tell my husband, who's my best friend, having to tell him I had it, and seeing his reaction, and then my family, my mum, my siblings, and all of that was just awful. We were all in tears.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. And I'm sure that's something you'll never ever really get over. It's because once you've had that experience of having to face the reality of a different experience, and like you say, it's always the idea of, am I going to die? Once you've had that, you've got now a cellular circuited experience in your brain and your body. And it does change you. It's not just an experience like, I don't know, starting a new job or, traveling the world. It's something that, because you're facing death, it's something that's incredibly moving, but also traumatic. I say that word a lot, but I would imagine that for everyone involved, that was just the worst possible moment. Yeah. I mean, obviously you are still here.
Yes.
But how long did you carry that fear of death with you?
That fear doesn't go away.
No.
I have to say. I thought that when I got into remission, because I'm still in remission.
Yes, you are, yeah.
For my cancer, they say to you that it's at least about 10 years before they feel as though they can give you, oh, you're absolutely fine now.
Yeah.
And so I'm petrified about it, and even though it feels better and it gets better with time, but there are times that I will wake up, as though I'm in a nightmare, and I have cold sweats because I feel as though the cancer is going to come back and I'm going to die and all of that. And I think that old Ngozi that was blissfully unaware of this world of sick, as I like to call it, it's just such a departure from that person. Yeah. Because now that I know that you can die, right? I mean, I know we're all going to go at some point, but when I know that I came very close to it, and that the cancer could come back, that fear just doesn't go. I mean, you learn to manage it, and with time it gets better, but it doesn't go.
No, you grow around it.
You grow around it, yes.
And I think that's really important to say, that it is life-changing. And one of the things that I think is really difficult for people to talk about is death.
Yes.
Their own death and the death of people that they love. But as you say, we're all going to die.
Yes.
And I guess there's a point where you have to accept that in order to truly live, you have to become friends with death.
Yes.
And realise that it's not there to get you. It's just part of the human experience, which is a beautiful experience. And I've referenced on many different episodes actually Susie's passing and how beautiful she was within that space of time, because she was actually, she didn't die as you'd see in the films, you know, and lose lots of weight or anything like that. She was beautiful, and I think watching her do it with such grace, and I've referenced this many times, she said she'd lived 30 lifetimes in one, and she'd kind of understood she came to peace with the fact that she'd done what she needed to do. And it was very quick with her. It was a very sudden sort of, she's going to die and then she's gone. But it made me look at death in a different way, because I always say I thought we were going to grow old together. And we would always be exactly the same age as we had been when we met at, you know, 5 or 6. So we knew we were going to be old women together. And I think having that gone, and then I looked into lots of different teachings and philosophies around death, and looking at the fragility of life and the expectations that we put on our own lives. Well, you have that experience firsthand now, where that fragility of life is real, and the experience of death is real. And you say you're still scared of it.
Yeah, I am. But at the same time, I'm still scared of it. I think about it all the time, but I'm just very conscious that I want to be able to do all the things that I think
take your time.
Yeah, I just want to feel that I've done all the things that I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Even the things that I was scared of before, I want to do them.
Yeah.
You know, because like life is short, and if I'm going to go, whenever that is, I want to feel like, okay, I've accomplished whatever it was, whatever wild, silly things that I want to, I don't know if it's a bucket list or to-do list or an experience list, but I want to feel as though I've done those things.
Yeah.
And with having cancer and coming out of it, it just makes you more determined and more goal-oriented.
It does.
Oriented towards that.
Yes.
That you make sure that the things that you put off before, you just go ahead and do them, because what's stopping you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a gift, isn't it? Like, so many people take it for granted because, again, they don't think about death. They don't make death their friend.
Yeah.
So it's the I'll be happy if, I'll be happy when, I'll plan to do those things at some point in the future. And they get tied up into the matrix and the day-to-day living, and they forget to do the bucket list or the experience list. And what you're saying is, as painful as it clearly is and as scary as it clearly is, what you're saying is, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it because I realise the value of the experience.
Yes.
And, you know, do you have like a spiritual foundation or you know, Christianity or something where that has given you hope and faith? Or is this just within you, this kind of feeling?
I'm definitely a Christian, although I'm probably a non-practicing one.
Yeah.
I have a family. A lot of them are very religious, all Christians. My brother-in-law is a priest. So I'm surrounded by people who believe in God, have faith. And definitely, you know, they advise me, they guide me in different ways. And I believe in heaven. I believe that your soul lives on forever.
Yeah.
So I do have those beliefs. I don't feel as though when you corporate or when you go that that's it, that's
no,
the
I
end.
don't feel that either.
Yeah.
I think you can look at it from a religious perspective, a scientific perspective,
Yes.
whichever where you choose to look at it. There's lots of kind of different teachings, scientific or otherwise, that will tell you actually there is infinite in everything. And I think that's really powerful. And also just thinking about people that I've loved and lost, if I think about them, it's very visceral. The experience of their memory or their laughter or the love that I felt for them, very visceral. They're never gone because I'm feeling them.
Yes.
They become a part of your DNA.
Yeah.
They become a part of every cell and fibre of your body. And so, you know, whether people live on physically or not is irrelevant really, because the legacy that you leave, and like you say, I mean, you could have another 70 years.
Yeah,
it's not like you're going to go
do,
tomorrow, but it's just having that in mind, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
And living with that. And one thing I wanted to say about I'm not actually religious, although I'm very, very respectful of religion and very respectful of believing in something higher than myself. I just don't have a particular religious text that I live by. What I do know is the power of energy and the power of prayer through energy, and the way that wave of energy can turn into something very, very physical, healing. You know, even if it's just you're using your own brain, meditating in a very particular way, visualizing it, feeling it. Remember I said about the networks between the brain, the heart and the gut. When you're feeling, and I've seen this with one of my amazing clients actually, who's got a physical disability, and we've been doing some real strong work on heart-mind coherence meditation, and he's getting more and more physically powerful every time he meditates. And this is someone who, by all intents and purposes, shouldn't be able to physically do what he's doing. And the power of meditation is very similar to the power of prayer. So it's nice to know that you've had that, even if you don't practice it, that energy is around you. It's moving and it's powerful. So the book that you're writing, I mentioned that you even yourself said it's not Shakespeare's work, but I said it's probably more important in some ways because you couldn't find information when you were looking for it.
Yes.
And so what you want to do with this really important bit of work that you're doing now with the book is actually give the people who go through something similar a real reality check.
Yes.
But also, like I said at the very beginning, you've had to be an advocate for yourself. And one of the questions I asked you earlier, and I shall bring it up again, is when you go into remission and you're no longer in the height of the treatment, it can feel like you're being left alone. And then you have to start to really speak up, because one of the things you said earlier was with this particular type of cancer, you've got to be careful because it really can come back quite aggressively, can't it? Yeah. Talk to me about that experience of having to shout for yourself.
I mean, the NHS is wonderful in so many, many ways. But when you go into remission, it's like you are a new chapter, a different world in itself, with its own challenges too. And like you're quite right, one of those challenges is the fact that you don't have your oncologists and all the nurses and everybody around you all the time, right? So, but then it's difficult to try to get their attention when it comes to some of the things that are wrong with you, that you find out. You do have your regular checkups, and you definitely have those. You have your scans, you still have them, and the blood tests and all of that. But when things are wrong, trying to get appointments can be difficult. Trying to make sure that when your oncologist does contact you, that he has your latest scan results at hand, knowing where to go to when you do start to notice other things happening with your body. Because what happens is you get hypersensitive to the things, to your body and the things that happen to you, because you have to be actually. But just making sure that you have the voice to be able to let them know. And when they're telling you, okay, well, that's not that important, just pushing for that and say, well, actually, can I have a scan?
Yes.
Can I get my blood test results? Can I read it? Can I, this part and this part says this and that. I mean, could you explain that to me a little bit more clearly so that I have a better understanding of what's going on?
Yeah.
I mean, all of those things are fights. And I don't know if it's because, yes, they do have other pressing matters to deal with. They have other people perhaps. And I know that the NHS has staff shortages and
Of
its own
course.
challenges.
Yeah.
I know that. But at the end of the day, I also know people who've been on remission and who haven't spoken out very loudly and or listened to, oh, you're fine now, and it's come back and
Yeah.
it's too late for them and
Yeah.
it's spread.
Yeah.
And I just don't want to be one of those statistics.
No.
So that's why I have to be sometimes very annoying to to like the care team and texting them, calling them, leaving messages and all of that, just
It's a
so that
job.
they can pay attention to you and attention to some of the things that you need. But the onus is on you to do that. So when you get into remission, the onus, and you have to be so proactive about your health.
Yeah.
And you're right, it is like a job in itself.
Yeah.
You can't ease up, not even for a second. Yeah.
And what you've said there is really interesting, because even if we're not talking about cancer, and there'll be lots of people that are listening that have got chronic health issues, and
Yeah.
I think of a friend actually who has been, he was in the British Army, he was blown up, lost a limb, and then lots of different health issues, because when he was blown up, it wasn't just the limb that was missing.
Wow.
An explosion does
Right.
profound things to the body and the brain. And he definitely has health anxiety, but like you say, you kind of have to, because
Yeah.
with some of the issues that he's had, and I've been with him at an appointment actually a couple of years ago or whatever it was, and he was spoken to like he was just a problem, because he again was advocating for himself and having to
Yeah.
go to this test, that test. He knows when something's wrong. Again, gut instinct. And then of course you can feel a bit gaslighted by the health system,
Yeah.
because they might make you feel like, and I reference Susie again, she was told that her cancer, where she had multiple tumours, was a chest infection.
Wow.
And then she was told it's pneumonia, and she was given antibiotics. And, it took a long time. I think she eventually stepped out in front of a bus and, fell to the floor, and they sort of took her to hospital. I think this is the story. Don't quote me on this. But and then it was found that she had lots more going on. And so, with my friend that I'm talking about here, with you, with Susie, with other people that have got chronic health issues, don't feel like you're being a pain.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you're being annoying. If that's how people treat you, that's on them. That's on them. That's their stress levels. That's their inability to be empathetic. That's whatever's going on for them. You have to be acutely aware of everything,
Yeah.
because we do know the NHS is stretched. So you do have to speak louder. But that in itself is so stressful and so demoralising at time, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
How has that affected you psychologically, having to be that person that speaks
goodness. It's just really stressful. I mean, it started when, even whilst I was going through my cancer journey, it started. But I didn't have anybody yet to do that, because even though I have a husband and he's absolutely amazing, he's a rock star.
Aww.
But he's also the type that if they told him, okay, it's stress, she's fine, he would believe that.
Yeah.
Because he really puts the medical profession on such a pedestal, and he's quite laid back. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's just men being men, but he's quite laid back. But I couldn't do that. So I knew that he wouldn't be able to do that. So even when I was sick, I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk barely. And I was ill. I had to ask the difficult questions. I had to send the texts. I had to do all of those things. And also, in remission as well. And it would be nice. It would be nice if I didn't have to do that. And it's just stressful. It's stressful always having to fight for yourself all the time.
Do you feel seen? Do you feel heard?
Oh, I definitely can make people see and hear me, because I can be really annoying.
You've made a point of being seen and being heard.
they probably see my name and they go running.
But that's the way you've had to be.
So I think it's more that just not being taken seriously.
Yeah.
I feel as though it's probably more that, and it's just the constant fight to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
And
Demoralising.
it's demoralizing. And luckily for me, when I find that people aren't taking me seriously, I get more of a fighting spirit.
Yes.
And I don't know where I got it from. Because that's the one thing you can do. You can say whatever. If you do not take me seriously, that's a problem, right?
Yeah.
And I'm so lucky I'm like that, because that's really helped me.
Yeah.
Because instead of me shrinking into a corner and going, oh gosh, let me just, it makes me want to fight. It makes me want to get up. It makes me want to say, listen, I matter.
Yes.
I matter. What I'm saying matters. I'm saying it very respectfully. I'm being very courteous, but I'm getting my point across because I matter, right? And I'm not asking you for something that's within your realm of what you need to do.
Yeah, I mean, these are
But
the
I'm
people
just
that are supposed to do the job.
Exactly. Please do your job. Please
Yeah.
do your job. And
Yeah.
that's what I feel. I mean, we all have to do our jobs. If I have my own company, and if I didn't do my job, I would be fired from whatever.
Yeah.
I would have clients just tell me, go away. But all I'm asking is for you to do your job, especially when it's in a life or death type situation.
Yes. We're not talking about a
Yeah.
broken leg here.
Exactly. So it's just not being taken seriously, and that has been a problem for me. And luckily for me, I have a little bit of a fighting spirit when it comes to that.
Well, I love hearing anyone say I matter.
Yeah.
That is powerful.
Yeah.
Not many people can say that with conviction. For some reason or another, they may not have ever been made to feel like they matter, but hearing someone say that is powerful. So I just want to really cherish that moment of I matter. It's powerful. But also, I think what's something you said earlier, and I'm never going to forget this, because I don't know how easy this must have been for you and how easy it is for other people. But you said something earlier that even when you were so ill, you were so poorly, never once did you feel like giving up. It wasn't on your radar. Now, I know there have been times in my life where I've been very, very poorly.
Right.
And I have felt like
Right.
I want to give up. And when you said that to me, it was a bit like... How do you, and you said yourself, I don't know where it comes from. This kind of just, it never even occurred to me that you were going to give up. Never.
No.
I mean, is this a genetic expression? Is this a generational strength that you carry, do you think?
I think it's funny because I was thinking about that. I think it probably has to come from my mum, because my mum is such a accomplished woman in so many ways. I have a lot of siblings. There's 6 others, right?
Wow.
And we're sort of like a big modern family, and all the stuff that she's achieved on her own just through sheer grit and determination. I mean, it's not like she sat me down and said, okay, you have to be this way, but I think it's probably from when I was a child, just observing how she went through life and all of that. And I thought to myself, my goodness, right? If she can do those things, this I can do. And I feel as though I just felt like again, on a subconscious level, I felt as though I had a lot to live for.
Yeah.
I felt as though this couldn't be the end. This wasn't the end. And yeah, I mean, I was miserable when I was sick, obviously. I was in pain, debilitating pain. I was emaciated, half the size of me now. I was bald. I had no hair on my body. I couldn't walk properly. I couldn't talk because I had mouth sores. I was very, very sick.
Yeah.
And I was scared, and I was depressed, and I was down, but nothing stopped me and made me think, okay, this is it. I want to give up. I want this to end. No, it just did not occur to me, because I still felt like I had a lot to fight for.
Yeah.
I had a lot to do.
Yeah.
Don't ask me what it was. I felt this grand thing I had to do. Don't ask me what.
Well, writing a book might be one of them.
But I just thought, hell no, I am not going away. This can't be it. So I just forced myself to embrace. And it as anybody who's gone through cancer, all the injections and all the tablets and everything that you feel,
it's just not nice.
It's not nice. It's not a nice thing to go through the treatment. It's probably one of the worst things I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And it's also because of the length of time that I had to experience it
yes,
for.
because it was during COVID.
And
Let's
it was
not
during
forget that.
COVID. Your your mental health. I mean, for instance, I didn't know that my mental health was suffering. I didn't know it was suffering at the time because I wasn't really educated on that, really.
Yeah.
I mean, but I would be in the hospital ward and I would literally feel claustrophobic, panic attacks. I couldn't breathe. I would feel as though the walls were closing in on me. And so many things, the mood swings or just the feelings that I got. And I mean, there's something that was really weird that happened, that the lady that came to ask me what I wanted for dinner, and I had to choose between the hospital food that they had. And at that time, I had mouth sores that were so painful. But all she did was ask and say, okay, what would you like? And I just literally burst into tears.
Yeah.
And I've just so sad and so devastated at that point. And the poor woman didn't even know where to look. It could have been what was on the menu.
It's not that bad. I mean, it's bad.
The cooking's not that bad. And it's just, little things like that. And at the time, like I said, I didn't know that my mental health was suffering. All I knew was I was sick. They were trying to heal me, trying to treat me. And I just had to get on with it. And I
mean, first of all, you said something really interesting there about your mother.
Yes.
And I always say this when I'm working with my clients. I always say, just a little reminder, children don't listen, they observe, they watch, and you don't understand what they're taking in.
Yeah.
And some of it will be good, some of it will not be good, but actually it's going to come back because the way the brain develops, it's back to front. Right. So it all goes in this sort of observation that you spoke about, the watching of your mother. It goes into the back of the brain, and then the middle of our brain develops, and then the front of our brain develops that's able to use the information that's implicitly stored and sometimes explicitly remembered. And so it's really important that you've said that, because even though we don't know if there's a genetic expression, we don't know if, without DNA testing and so on, we don't know what sort of power you behold in terms of generational strength or traumas, but we do know that observing your mother enabled you to learn something that you didn't know you were going to need until the time came.
Exactly.
And that's, again, I said to you at the beginning, before we recorded and at the beginning of this recording, this is profoundly useful because as a parent myself and lots of other parents listening, be mindful of what your children need. Not just now, not just food, not just shelter, but in terms of the strength that they might need later on. Be the strength. Do the things that they need to see and witness, and clearly your mum did. No one's perfect, of course. Like, I'm not suggesting that anyone's perfect here, but it's so powerful to know that as a parent, your job just goes so far beyond those important first years.
Exactly.
And I wanted to highlight that for your mum as well as for you.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
There's a lot.
My mum, bless her heart. But you're absolutely right. It's just what I observed, not necessarily what I was told, but what I observed.
It's crazy, really, when you think about it. Now, speaking about your mum, again, something we spoke about earlier and I think is really interesting actually is you are an academic.
Yes.
You run your own company.
Yes.
You run a marketing company.
Yes.
And you're very successful.
Yes.
And you didn't go through the pageant system. And one day, for some reason, you decide you're going to be the pageant girl. You make it to the final of Miss Universe and, like I said, Exceptional Lady, Miss Universe Exceptional Lady Award. And when you told your mum about this, tell me how your mum reacted to your decision.
My mum can sometimes be a very typical African woman in certain respects, right? So she just thought, why are you doing a pageant and are you getting paid for it or anything like that? I'm like, Mom, it's a competition. Not paying you for it, right? And she just didn't understand. She just didn't understand. Maybe because I didn't grow up in the pageant world. Yeah. And I think probably because a lot of people who do pageants, they've been doing it from when they were very young.
They're going so young.
Yeah, they've been doing it. And so here I am in my 40s saying that I'm doing this pageant.
You were in your 40s when you decided to do it?
Yeah. Yes.
I have not asked your age, and I'm not going to because that'd be rude. But how long ago was the pageant?
Oh, the pageant was last year, but it's not the Miss one; it's the Mrs. Universe one.
Mrs.
Yes.
Oh, so we've
maybe
got
that's what it is. Yeah. So it's the one for for when you're older, because I think the Miss one, the cut-off age is, I think, is about 30.
Yeah.
Right. So the Mrs. one is obviously older and all of that. So it's a bit
wiser
different in that sense. Yes. So they generally tend to go for women who are either married or have been married and older,
life
accomplished
experience
in some way, have some life experience and all of that. Yes. But it's still taken just as seriously.
Oh, I can imagine. And I mean, you are, and you'll hear this all the time, so I'm not saying it for your validation, because I know that you will have heard this a million times, but I don't know if it will come across quite as stunning on camera, but you are like something from another world to look at. Like we are in the presence of something from another world in terms of beauty. You really are. Like your skin, your eyes, your smile, your face, your cheeks. Like, this is just, I'm sitting here trying not to go, oh my God, you're so beautiful.
Oh, bless.
Oh my God,
Thank
you're so
you.
beautiful.
Gosh, I'll dine on that for like months to come.
You should. I mean, like, I know that you've got the brain and the beauty, so dine on it all, because, why can't you? I say this a lot. Little girls are encouraged to feel pretty and to express their beauty, and they're told they're pretty, they're told to be confident, they're told to go out there and show the world how amazing they are. And then we get older, and all of a sudden, if you're pretty and clever and all of those things, it's actually seen as a bit of a problem, because people get jealous and they don't celebrate female beauty because it's such a challenge for themselves. I say them, it can be men, women, anyone. I love beautiful women because they have this special energy. And I don't just mean, there are beautiful women come in all different shapes, sizes, forms. I'm not suggesting there's a type of beautiful woman. I'm just saying that I think beautiful women have got so much value because their energy and their confidence is magical. And I think I like being around beautiful people, and I like to tell people how beautiful they are inside and out. And you do have both of that, and you've got that resilience and that strength and that wisdom and everything. And I just want to celebrate that for a minute.
Thank you. I don't often see that. I think also because when I was at school, I was a bit of a geek. I don't know if that's a word we can use now, but I was very much a geek. I was very tall. I kept tripping over things because I didn't know how to handle myself, and people laugh at me all the time. And I think, and I actually don't see even though I put on makeup and I. I think I clean up well.
You definitely do.
I brush up well.
And I've seen the picture of you when you were poorly.
Oh, have you? Oh, yes,
and
yes.
You haven't got your hair and you've got no makeup on, and you are still gorgeous in the height of being ill. So it's not the makeup. I know it enhances, but it's definitely not just the makeup.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I don't see myself, perhaps maybe the way other people will see me. For me, it's nice to be attractive, because it's nice to be proud of yourself and just look after yourself, right, inside and out. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But yeah, even with that, I've done a bit of modeling in the past, because people say, oh, you're tall. Yeah, you can model. So, through university, I did a little bit of it, right? Give me a bit of pocket money while I was going through uni and all of that. But I was never a pageant person, because I never thought I was a pageant girl. I didn't think I had the qualities you had to do it. But when I got into into remission, I just thought, oh my gosh, this would be so nice to do. I was scrolling through Instagram. I saw somebody who had done it, and I thought, oh, I wonder what it would be like, because I would love to do it. And I think I was more attracted to it than before, because I had been so sick. Yeah. Because I had lost I didn't recognize myself. I'd lost all my hair. I was emaciated and all of those things. And I was slowly getting better. And I kind of just felt inclined to have something that celebrated not just the outside, but also the inside and what I'd been through. Yes. And this pageant was just saying all the right things. And I thought, wow, okay, well, what about if I just filled out the forms? What would happen? So I filled out the form, not thinking I was going to get called or anything like that. I just thought, okay, it's new me. Okay, so I'm going to fill it out.
Wow.
And I filled it out and I got, they came back to me and I went through the next stage and then the next stage and then the next stage. And I just thought to myself, okay, so it appears that I'm representing the United Kingdom now. And literally my husband and I were like, we're literally running around the kitchen table going, oh my God.
That's crazy.
This is happening. And then and then obviously I had to go to Miami to do the pageant. And I just thought to myself, everybody, when I got there, a lot of women had teams that were with them. They had makeup artists, they had hair people doing everything. And there was me, and I had my little sort of like makeup case. Kind of thought, okay, if I pull my hair back, I think it works. And my husband running around with my mobile phone, just trying to take some behind the scenes shots and things like that. But when I walked into that room actually, and I saw all these amazing women, there was about over 70 women competing. That was probably maybe the second time that I felt as though I shouldn't be there. I felt very out of place because these women were absolutely stunning. And I don't know seeing all those women just there. And I felt as though I shouldn't be there. I felt as though perhaps I was too sick. I felt as though I didn't fit in. And I literally, went into a corner and just sort of, stood in a corner because I thought to myself, I don't fit in here. And it's weird because it's not very often that I feel that way, but then I've never done a pageant before.
Yeah, it's a different world.
So it's a totally different world. And I had to talk to myself. I had to say to myself, after about 10, 15 minutes of just hiding in the corner, I said, all right, okay, I don't think I'm going to win anything here, but I can enjoy the experience.
Yes.
I can try to get to know some of these women. I can just talk, and I know that I've got that.
Yes.
My husband says, you can't shut me up. I have the gift of the gab. I keep talking. Part of my job is talking. So I thought, okay, I've got that. So I just started to be friends with everyone and just went out and talking to women, getting to know them, getting to know their stories. And what I found really interesting about pageantry is that a lot of these women were very accomplished.
Yeah.
TEDx speakers, CEOs of companies, and accountants, psychologists, and for so many different works of life. Beautiful inside and out. And they were so amazing. And I thought, my goodness, if I can come out of here with some friends, that will be it. I'm just happy to be there.
I love this story. I love it.
And so that's what I did. So I just focused on that as opposed to focusing on the fact, okay, I don't think I look good enough. I don't have the fancy makeup and hair person. I haven't spent thousands on what I'm going to wear, so I just focus on the other things instead, and that's what I did. So you can imagine my shock and horror, or my shock, because when they said, okay, the first time when they said I'd won this title, I didn't even think they were calling my name, because it was the girl next to me that said, you're number 66, they're calling you, it's you. I thought, well, it can't be me, it just didn't feel like me. It was just weird. It was quite surreal, yeah.
And I find it amazing and also quite beautiful and also quite humbling listening to you talk there, because the idea that you aren't beautiful enough.
Yeah.
And other women will watch this on YouTube if they're not listening to it. And if you are listening to it on Spotify, which is more likely, look on YouTube and look at your Instagram, because you are, like I say, from another world. You're gorgeous, like beautiful, stunning. All of those words are you. But the fact that you couldn't feel it or see it, it's just a reminder to us all that when you're not seeing or feeling your own beauty, somebody else is.
Yeah.
And never get locked in that framework in your own head that you're not enough.
Yeah.
Or that you're not clever enough or whatever it is, because you're all of those things. I mean, you said earlier, I matter. And when you were fighting for yourself, it came out. But actually, there are times when even you, will say, no, I just don't feel like I fit in. I need to shrink into the corner for a while.
I literally,
And that's profound again. But you had the fight in every, whether it be with cancer, whether it be in that pageant room with all these amazing women around you, you had the fight to say, hang on a minute, if I'm here, I'm going to have the full roller coaster experience.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I have arrived. And you did arrive and you accomplished something huge. And so when you did get that title, how did your mum feel then?
Oh my goodness. I think my whole family were like, oh my goodness. You know, what's really interesting actually that I found out with this pageant thing is that, okay, in the UK, we do not take pageants as seriously as people do, like maybe say in Asia or in America.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like over there, it's a huge business.
I know.
It means it matters so much, you know, it's huge over there. So when for instance, I put on Instagram and I said, oh my God, you know, I've won this. I was absolutely shocked. And I did not expect, to be honest, actually, that there would be the reaction I got. I was actually absolutely shocked at how happy people were for me, right? Because one, again, it's not something that people take that seriously here, or I thought is something that they don't take it as seriously as the other countries, relatively speaking, right? But still, at the same time, it was, people were just rooting for me. Secretly, they seemed to like the idea of it, and they were happy that I'd won it. And my family were over the moon as well. And I think a lot of people, to me, felt like they were shocked that I had won.
Yeah.
And I was shocked I'd won. And it was amazing because so all of a sudden, I was plunged into this other world that I'd never been in before. You know, I was of a world of presentations and
like you say,
marketing and really, for the most part, anything glamorous or anything I had to do in that world, in the marketing side, was always behind. I was the person behind other people.
Of course.
So if I was doing a project and I had to hire like models or influencers, whatever, I was the person behind orchestrating all of that and doing that. So it was so weird to me that I was now that person
at the front,
that at the front. So it was interesting, and but everybody was really quite pleased for me, very, very happy, and then I just thought to myself, well, okay, what happens now that I have this platform? What can I do with it? And, you know, one of the things that people have asked is, what do you get out of doing a pageant like this? You know, what are the tangible things that you get? Yes, the tangible things, yes, you get the crown, you get the sash, which you've got to wear, and all of that. But really, the other thing that you get most, the most important thing is the platform.
Yes.
Because with that platform, what I found is that doors that would have been closed are open. People are interested in your story. People want to know what you're going to do next. They want to know what charities you're supporting, if you are supporting anything. And also, it is an opportunity for you to give back.
Yes,
so it's very different, perhaps maybe from the Miss Universe one, whereby that might not be the focus. But for the Mrs. Universe pageant, it's almost as though, okay, you've won this. Now you have a job. You have a job to really make a difference with the platform that you've been given. Right? And that's what I found. I found that, and you have to be willing to do it.
Right? It's the willingness.
It's the willingness to do
right.
it. Yeah.
I think it's been, you're right. I worked with a lovely lady who went on to do Big Brother, actually, the new series, Noki.
Oh, right. Okay.
And Noki had done Miss Universe.
Yeah.
And she was very much in the world of business and female empowerment and stuff, and very gorgeous and all of those sorts of things. But what I understood from working with Noki was that she had so much drive and so much desire to talk about female empowerment and to really push that forward. And, you know, when we think about pageants, we think about the beauty side of it.
Yes.
But like you've mentioned there and referenced there was all this wealth of experience and academia and, you know, knowledge or whatever in that room and these really accomplished females. And so the looks are a beautiful part of the pageant.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, although you are exceptionally gorgeous, there are women out there that perhaps know how to make it work, even if they're not, I mean, you know, born a supermodel. They know how to make it work and how to show off their best side. And it's exactly what you said. It's just about enhancing and promoting all the best parts of the female human experience. And I think that's why it's important to understand, actually, because it isn't as supported here. I know in America it's really big. It's actually really hard to win something when you're UK because
it is
because it's not really supported in the same way financially, sponsorship and so on. But there's so much power within that process. And I think it'd be lovely to see more women getting behind the process, female entrepreneurs sponsoring the process, the Miss Universe, the Mrs. Universe and all of that. Because again, like exactly what you've said, you can really champion the charities and the movements and the strong storyline that we need to hear as a human race.
Oh, absolutely.
Through that process.
Yeah, absolutely. And also it's the network of all these amazing women. Imagine if all these women come together, right? What we can do. You can really be unstoppable. So, I mean, pageants, to me now, what I've realized just by being in this, having the experience of it, it's a very powerful thing. It's very powerful. It's nothing to make fun of or laugh at or anything. It's what you can do from winning a title is phenomenal. And when you get together with some of these amazing women who are so accomplished in different ways, it's you can be unstoppable. You can be unstoppable. And that's definitely something that I've learned from being in the pageantry world.
It's so interesting. So interesting to talk about that. And also we've referenced your business a couple of times and I just want to kind of like find out about you know, you as the businesswoman here, because that's another layer to your experience. You mentioned your marketing consultancy. What made you decide to go into business on your own, you know, as a female?
I mean, I was working for other people and I think I kind of fell into marketing. When I left university, I did PR, I did events, I did sales and all of that. And I was working for this company. And actually, my boss at the time said that, oh, right, okay, we've got this event on. We need a few posters and blah, blah, blah. And I want you, can you just look after it and do it? And I thought, okay, well, let me do it. And it's interesting from that point on, I literally fell in love with it. I didn't know this world of marketing, right? I didn't understand it. I didn't know it until I just, you know, I fell into it. And then I realized that it was something that brought together all the skills that I had before. The events management skills, the PR skills, the creativity, you know, all of it came together. And you now have marketing. And I found that unlike some of the other roles I'd had before, whereby I would be dissatisfied, right? I'll do it for like a year, 2 years, and I wouldn't be very fulfilled. With this one, I was just incredibly passionate about it. I wanted to know more. I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn as much as I could. And I just did that. And I just kept going up the ranks, and I became marketing director and blah, blah, blah. And even when I was sick, I got my MBA in digital marketing as well. I didn't.
As if you just waited till now to throw that one in. You did that when you were sick?
When I was going through chemo, Well, because I've always wanted to do it. And I thought, well, I don't know if I'm going to make it or not, but I really want to do this MBA.
I mean, come on. This is insane.
But the thing is, okay, so it really helped. I mean, one thing I do say, actually, going back to a little bit to the chemo thing, is that for me, marketing is something I'm very passionate about.
Yes.
It might be so boring to other people, but it literally gets me super excited, right? So the fact that I was doing something that got me, that I was that excited about, even the days where I was sick and I couldn't move, I still felt inclined to do 10 minutes of a little bit of reading here and there.
Love it.
Right. And that helps your mental health.
It does.
In ways that I hadn't even envisaged.
Yeah.
I hadn't envisioned the fact I looked forward to reading or writing essays or doing some of those things. Days that I was feeling a bit better, I would do a little bit. I mean, obviously, I talked to university and let them know I was going through chemo, if it was okay to do an MBA, if they would be okay with it. And they said yes. But that helped my mental health, because when I wasn't focused on how sick I was, that was beautiful and that was brilliant.
You broke the state of sickness in those short moments.
And it was so important to me also when I was sick that I left this, I came out of it with something other than the memories of my cancer.
Yeah.
I wanted something, so okay, I accomplished this in this time. But yeah, marketing to me is incredible. But anyway, going back to how I decided to go into my business on my own. My husband, I moved with him for his work. And when we moved again, I thought, okay, so now again, I'm going to have to now start looking for work again because we've just moved. I just left a company that I absolutely loved, was, really quite senior, a senior person there. And then I'm going to have to start all over again with a new company and all of that. So I thought, well, the best thing for me to be is a digital nomad. As long as I have my laptop, I should be able to work anywhere in the world, irrespective of where we live.
This is the great story.
And that's where the idea was born, whereby I said, okay, I'm just going to be a marketing consultant. I'm going to start my own company. And it kind of went from there. And I thought, okay, well.
Did you have contacts, or did you kind of just reach out and do the sales kind of stuff first?
Yeah, so I had to really start from, because we moved to another country, right? I had to almost start again from the beginning.
Of course,
in that sense. I had contacts in the sense of, if I needed like graphic designers or if I needed people like that, I would use people that I knew. But in terms of clients, I had to build everything up from scratch.
Did you do that digitally? The digital marketing
so
side
digital
of
marketing. Yeah. So the wonderful thing about marketing is that because of the technology, right, a lot of marketers are working remotely, right?
Of course they are,
so you can have, clients all over the world and be sitting in your living room in Surrey or wherever you are and just working with people all over the world because of what we've, of the nature of the job.
It's powerful. Yeah. I mean, as you know, I'm a psychotherapist and run a clinic and do other bits on the side, and several different projects that I'm launching. And one of the powerful things about that is people always say, how do you do it? And I say, well, digital marketing and paid advertising, although some people would say it's lengthy and it's costly, it's just about that rhythmic activity and rhythmic acquisition and leads. And I know there's other things that you can do, but it's quality as well. You can't just go, oh, I'm going to put on, an advert on my phone, although sometimes that does work for people. It's the whole process. It's knowing your numbers. It's knowing what you want to achieve. It's knowing the whole thing. But essentially, if you do know what you're doing, I mean, I did learn how to do it, and I teach other people how to do it. But there are people like you out there that can take that strain off of the business and do it all for them. Would you say that, on that note, from a professional opinion, would you say digital marketing in terms of the paid advertising is still a good way to go for small businesses?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to get the strategy right. Like you were saying, it's all about the strategy, and you have to make sure that you know what you're doing. You're targeting the right people, right, at the right time. You have to understand how to analyze data and maybe do some little smaller tests. So if you're a small business, just do maybe A/B testing, right? Just do very, very small tests and see how it is. And then you can learn from it and then build from that, right? But I mean, it all depends on what business it is as well.
Of course,
right?
Of course. But that's power. Because I always say this, 2 things that I love to talk about is breaking generational trauma, but also helping people make money.
Yeah.
Like those 2 things. Like
Always good.
Always good. If you can do those 2 things with people,
Yeah.
like you're on a level of, I guess, elevating yourself while bringing people with you.
Exactly.
And that is exactly what you're doing with your story. You know, for a job, you elevate others.
Yeah.
But with your story and with the platform, you are doing that still in ways that I think will go way beyond. I mean, hopefully you'll be here for, like I say, another 70 years.
Yes.
Mind you, if you're in your 40s, then that's going to take you into a very old age. If you're there,
Exactly.
I want to be there with you, by the way, because I want whatever you're taking if you get there. But essentially, you know, leaving this as a legacy, this conversation, not this conversation today, but the overall project that you're doing in terms of speaking openly, your book, going on shows, going on podcasts, speaking openly about taboo things. I guess as a final chapter of our podcast together, what would be the essential ingredients to take away from listening to this in terms of your journey with illness,
Yeah.
your journey within business, your journey within, I think, the experience of doing things that push you outside of your comfort zone? What are the key takeaways for people listening?
I think with the illness side of it, I think that women just need to be their own best friends. And to make sure that, like you said, you know, in terms of the gut, there's obviously scientific reasons why listening to your gut is a good thing. And just advocate for themselves a bit better. And not to shrink away or shy away when they feel as though they've got somebody else telling them something else. I really want women to advocate for themselves a bit more than they do.
And for each other.
Yes, and for each other.
And for each other.
Okay, so regards to that, I'm very much a girl's girl.
Yeah.
Right? And so for me, that's a whole interesting thing, because I do understand that women don't do that with each other, which is very strange for me, because I'm from a family of very, very strong women. I mean, we love each other. We're each other's, you know. So for me, all of that doesn't really make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
Right? But I always push women to definitely advocate for each other, right? Because we are more powerful when we do that.
We are
more powerful when we do that.
We are.
And just not allowing just any sense, you know, competition or just
We've all got a space.
silly things to get in the way of that. So I'm very much a girl's girl, and even on my Instagram, I have to keep saying it all the time. Maybe because when people look at it, they might think that perhaps I'm not, right? But that's one thing I do not have time for. I'm a girl's girl, right? I don't care what they say women do, what they like, whatever. The greatest friendships I've had are with women.
Yeah, you're right.
The greatest advocates I've had in my life are women. The people that you call and talk to, and you know that they have your back, are women. The people that lift you up when you're down are women. So there is nothing anybody would tell me about what women are like, this, that, and the other, that will make me not be a girl's gal, right? So I think that women need to just work with each other a little bit more.
See, that's divine feminine right there. That energy that you're giving off, it's kind of like, let's all be together on this. And what I like about what you're saying, and I'm thinking as you're saying it, is that going back to that narrative, little girls are told that they're pretty and to be confident and to believe in themselves, and you know, all of that. And then there comes a point where when, you know, little girls start listening to the insecurities of the women in the world, and they pick up on that, and they hear their mums, and I've probably been guilty of this myself, so I'm not judging anyone that's done this in front of their daughters, talking yourself down. And so the daughter or the young child is hearing the woman do that, and the insecurities, and they're learning that, going back to the observer thing. Whereas boys, if you think about it, boys, and this is a good thing, I'm not knocking it, boys from early on are told, be strong, you're masculine. You know, before they can even understand what masculine means, they're told to step into that masculine, to be proud of it. Sometimes in a more toxic way, boys are encouraged to have sex with lots of women. They're encouraged to do as much of it as they can, step into that strong masculine energy. And then as they get older, and probably their body mechanically doesn't work in the same way, what I've seen with a lot of men of my age, I'm 45, is their body doesn't work the same way it did. So
Right.
when I say mechanically, I'm talking
Yes.
about sexual organs here.
Right.
And they don't have the same prowess.
Right.
They might be receding. They might be putting on weight. Now, again,
Right.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. In fact, I think men are beautiful.
Yeah.
But what happens is, because they've been told over and over again, you're the man, you're the man, you're the
Yeah.
man, you're the man. There's been no insecurities. What happens is they struggle with, I think, needing more validation.
Right.
Whereas women, as you've
Interesting.
mentioned there,
Yeah.
because, and I've found this with my female friends, we can, if we allow ourselves, turn to each other, support each other. Because of the insecurities we all experience,
Yeah.
we raise each other, we lift each other, we
Yeah.
hear each other, we see each other, we do anything we can for each other. Women have kind of always done that, and I think men are lacking that.
Yes.
And so on that note, and the reason I say this is because I've always said this: don't be afraid of someone else's beauty. If you don't feel beautiful, that's on you. That's the work you need to do on yourself.
Yes,
And it's your sisters that are going to
Yeah.
enable you to find that beauty. Don't dismiss another woman's beauty ever. Don't dismiss another woman's brain or achievements. Make friends with her.
Yeah.
Let her be your friend.
Exactly.
Tap into that. And I think that's the same for men, actually, that are going through their crisis. If they are going through that, turn to your brothers. We need that. We need the masculine. We need the feminine. And we need to
Yes.
all be supporting each other.
Absolutely. I agree 100%.
Yeah, I can see. And I just think for that reason, you know, that's why I wanted to really highlight your business as well, because I think you could be easily mistaken having, you know, done the Mrs. Universe
Yes,
for
yeah.
just being the beauty.
Yes, yeah. Because also online, I don't really talk so much about my marketing side. Yeah, I mean, with the business, that to me is I'm not sure how to explain, because it's my passion, right? So I can be very much a workaholic, right?
Yeah, I hear that.
I can be very much of a workaholic. So my work, what I do is something that I'm so passionate about, right? It's really, I live and I breathe it.
Yeah.
Right? I live and I breathe it. And I think that for women out there, it's good to have something that you're very, very passionate about. And if you are lucky to that is your job.
Yeah, I mean, what a
because
privilege.
not for everyone, not everybody is doing something that they love or doing a job that they love.
True.
With me, it's something that I love, right? I could talk about it forever. I get excited when I get emails about marketing stuff. I mean, I could talk all about the technical side of it, the new threats to, well, they say AI is a threat, so I don't know. That's a whole different discussion.
It is, it's a big one.
Yeah. I mean, just the seminars and the presentations and all of that. I love it all. I love
Do
it all.
you?
Yes, I do.
Where can we find your have you got like, obviously I'll tag all links for the charities
Yes.
that you support.
Yes.
Which I'll get from you,
Yes.
another time, but
Yeah.
also your business and some of your work.
Yeah. I mean, for me, listen, if somebody wants to hire me to help with their marketing and give them, I usually do about half an hour free consultation.
Yeah.
So I normally do that. You can email me. I don't know how to give my email address.
Well,
yet.
what we'll do is we'll put it on.
I'll just
all
put
of
it.
the links.
Yes, yeah. You can email me, and I would normally start off with doing a 30 minutes consultation to find out what exactly your pain points are.
Yeah.
And then I'll give suggestions as to how I can help you with that. And if you're happy with it, then I put together a strategy plan of how we do it. And if again you're happy with that, we just hit the ground running. And I do that, and that's pretty much it. So luckily for me, I've had a lot of repeat clients over the years, right, who literally will plug in my services when they need the help.
Yes.
And that's one of the wonderful things about being a consultant, is that companies, when they do need help, can utilize your services. Sometimes it's 3 months, 6 months, sometimes it's a year. And then you wrap up and you go and work on another project.
Yeah, so it's always new.
So it's always new, and it fits me perfectly. I love that. So it's always new, it's always exciting.
Yeah,
Yes.
always fresh.
Always fresh, yeah.
And I guess, like you say, because of your multifaceted experience with
Yes.
events, with sales, with
Yes.
marketing, you can really tap into all of those areas.
Yeah.
I guess you can go to people that are more strategy and digital, whereas
Yes.
you've got all of the contacts,
Yes.
all of the sides of the coin. And I think that makes it very interesting. But what's more interesting about you is that as we've sat here and talked about your story,
Yeah.
you know, you definitely know how to tell the story. You're definitely a good orator, but you do also have so much to say.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much good stuff that's come out of this. And I hope whoever's listening, male or female, will finish and just go, do you know what? I feel really inspired. Like, some parts of that story are dark and difficult to hear, but and I said, didn't I will put a trigger warning on, because we will be talking about, well, we have spoken about the dark stuff, but stick with it. If you know, I will say this in the bio, stick with this story, because it's been a real eye-opener. It's been really strong, inspirational, but also so much knowledge that you've shared in just one episode. And I really hope that you continue to tell your story as much as you can. I know you've got your book, but I really think that you should be a regular on this scene with all the podcasts, because you've got so much to say. So powerful.
I will keep doing that. It's just you mentioned about the cancer. The cancer, for the type of cancer I had, is if you wanted to find a little bit more about it, they're called Sarcoma UK.
Yeah.
You can go on Instagram or check out their website to find a little bit more. If you're having issues with or having some fears and all of that, they're brilliant in terms of giving you the information or pointing you in the right direction.
That's powerful.
But I will continue to tell this story, because there's still a lot of people who don't know enough about the type of cancer that I had, and also who perhaps might feel as though if they've had any kind of illness, whatever it is, they feel stigmatized by it, right? And they don't see a way out, even after they're better, or they're being told they're better, and they don't know how to go back to who they were before, or where to turn to next. I'm just, I hope my story is to show that there's light at the end of the tunnel there,
but also very honest about the fears that you've got, and you've not shied away from that. And I think that we, like I said at the very, very beginning, we need to hear the real truth, not just the pretty end of the story, because like you say, you're still in remission and there's still a way to go. But I think what I took from today is to never give up. And to tap into all the beautiful energy that you can, because what we have here is somebody that, despite going through such a terrible illness, went on to do Mrs. Universe, win the Exceptional Woman title, and continued to strive and thrive. And that is what we all need to hear. So thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
It's been amazing. And also, just to finish, got to say that you kind of came a really long way to be here from West Sussex to Northampton.
I did.
And in the height of the carnival as well, so it was really busy. So I just want to say thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Yes.
Bless your heart. Thank you.
I've been wanting to come, and I'm so excited to be here. Yes.
I really appreciate it. And I know that this is going to land well with so many people. So thank you for sharing your story and being vulnerable.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Beautiful.